Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our webinar this morning. Very excited to be here. I hope all of you are too. As a very, very brief intro to myself, I'm Milan and I work for Fixflo. I am the VP of Revenue here at Fixflo, so I look after all of our customer-facing teams, so our sales, our marketing function, our customer support, our onboarding teams, and also for our sister company, Arthur Online, who some of you may be familiar with. And I'm very happy to say, I'm joined by Regina Mangan. Regina, would you kindly introduce yourself, please?
Good morning, everybody. How are you today? I'm delighted to have the opportunity to share some of our journey and some of the technology that we've adopted here in Liberty Blue and Waterford to help us improve our efficiencies. I set up Liberty Blue in 1997, which is 27 years ago. And we set it up as book a room. And up until 10 years ago, we just did rentals and property management. 10 years ago, we expanded into rentals. And now our pre-COVID, actually, rentals accounted for like 85% of the business. And post-COVID, that completely changed. And we grew our sales through innovation and marketing. I have a team of 5 in Waterford, and 2 of my team are actually based in South Africa. Regina runs our entire maintenance system from South Africa, and I'll talk to you about that later and how she does that. And then we have another guy, Devon, who started recently, and he runs the whole letting process and compliance from South Africa. So it's incredible what you do and what you can achieve when you have the right systems.
Amazing. Thank you for that introduction, Regina. And it's, I have to admit, when we first started talking and I looked at the scale of your business and looked at, your ability to run it with a relatively small headcount, it's an amazing testament to the way that you've brought together both technology and people to run such efficient processes within your business. And I'm sure we will get into that. Now, I've been told I have to do the disclaimer. I could do it in that really quick voice they do on the radio, so you can't hear it, but I will read it loud and clear. So all content presented in this webinar is intended for general information purposes only and should not be considered as legal advice or official guidance. I just want to remind everybody as well, you can ask questions throughout the webinar, and there will be time at the end for a Q&A session. So you can see at the bottom of your screen, you can click the Q&A button on Zoom, and this will reveal the panel and submit questions to Regina and myself. All of the attendees are muted to avoid any background noise and distractions. So if you do have a question, don't try and shout it out. Please type it in the box, and we will get to as many as we can in the Q&A at the end. And very importantly, if anybody needs to drop off for a major incident that occurs, because we know in property management that can often happen, this webinar will be recorded and it will be made available on our website. So if you either have to drop off or actually once we've done it, you think I'd love to share this with my network or somebody who wasn't able to make the webinar, it will be available offline as well. Wonderful. Okay, so now we've got that out of the way. We're going to dive into some very specific topics here. And when Regina and I were talking about this webinar, the 2 topics that really kept coming back were the intersection of people and technology. And ultimately, we understand across our client base that first and foremost, property management is a people business. You're dealing with people all of the time. You're dealing with your landlords, you're dealing with your tenants in often complex and highly stressful situations, right? Especially as it relates to maintenance. And we can supercharge that through the use of technology. And that's why we've honed in on these 2 topics for today. And Regina, just to kick us off really, when we were preparing for this call, you walked me through an epiphany moment that you had after attending a conference, and that really, really stuck with me. And I'm sure there will be people on the conference who have had a similar epiphany moment or may well be coming to their epiphany moment. Could you just tell the audience a little bit about what that was and how that has impacted your approach to run your business?
Well, first of all, I'd like to share that I'm absolutely rubbish at technology. But what I do know, I know what problems I want to solve and really work at, I suppose, how we can improve things in the business. So when I shared with my husband that I was going to a prop tech conference 7 years ago, he got a great laugh because We've about 5 remote controls at home, and I can never figure out which one to use. Anyway, I said to Maria, who's the other director, Maria, we don't know what we don't know. She was like, what do you mean? I said, we actually don't know what we don't know. We don't know what's out there and what we should know. So we went to this prop tech conference, and there was a number of speakers, but there was one particular speaker who hugely impressed me, a guy called Christian Byfield, who I've written about in my book. He's a phenomenal guy. In fact, he actually looks like a Viking, and being based in Waterford, which is the Viking city, I really did connect with him. Christian anyway shared so much about his business and the technology that he used. So I asked Christian at the end of his talk, could I go and visit his business in London? It's called Base. And he said, of course you can. Sure, he didn't think that this Irish woman was going to land in his office 2 weeks later. Now, what I saw for a whole day in Christian's office, that created a vision for me where I could see really clearly how the future needed to look like for Liberty Blue. So if you can imagine our office in Waterford 7 years ago, it was like a crazy busy train station. People used to be coming in all day long with maintenance problems, having chats at the desk, talking about this not working, that not working, sending in emails. The emails are going to 3 different people. Someone would be out sick, no system for where these maintenance issues were. Then in terms of collecting rent, manual system, credit card machine, so many processes that we use that were massively time consuming. And this was this guy in London running a majorly successful lettings company. He doesn't do sales. And it was so calm. The phone hardly rang. And everybody was enjoying work. They had people popping in, collecting keys to do inspections. So I took a huge amount from that and a list of things that they did. And actually one I'd throw in was Google reviews, the importance of Google reviews and asking for them, because that's so important when people are looking for an agent to buy or to rent, to sell or to rent their property. So I came back, and with Maria, we looked at what could we implement to make things better. And we implemented over 4 years, 14 pieces of technology. It was a huge investment in resources and money, but it has transformed the business, like absolutely transformed the business. So we have a mentor. I always believe in having mentors. And this guy, Tony, used to run a huge manufacturing plant in Waterford. He was the CEO, and he mentors us. And the 3 words he's drilled into us are reduce, eliminate, and automate. So it's all about here in Liberty Blue, reducing waste, eliminating waste, and automation. And, you know, we're going to talk about Fixflo and other systems that we implemented. So can you imagine, right, we were set up with Fixflo and other systems like Planet Verify, which previously people were looking to rent. They would send in their references via email. They'd send in all their paperwork. It was in like 10 different places, needle in a haystack. And then we implemented a system called Planet Verify, and they can upload their data in a GDPR friendly way that keeps us all right and safe. And it just eradicates all this waste. So you can imagine when COVID hit, we were like super set up. We had a team member working from home. All the maintenance flowed. We were able to put in auto replies about what urgent tasks were. And I talk about sort of the difference it's made later on, but really it's a completely different business. I've purposely done this so you can see that the office, you know, is nice and calm. It wasn't like that pre 7 years ago.
Amazing. That's great to hear. I think, you know, the main thing that jumped out for me there is, first and foremost, you know, 14 pieces of technology is huge. And I think that some people potentially see that as overwhelming. But the point that you really picked up on there was focusing on the challenges, not the technology itself. So many people on the conference have probably walked around a big conference hall full of technology providers and felt a little bit overwhelmed. But actually, if you think about your internal processes, which you know best if you're running your business or you're running a maintenance department, and focus on the actual challenge at hand, and are able to really get to the pointed questions with a technology provider to say, this is the challenge I have. How does your technology solve this challenge I have? That can really inform the decision-making process there. And that's something that we try to get across with our sales teams here, is when you're talking to customers, we're not just selling a standard piece of technology off the shelf that everybody will use in the same way. Some people will use some modules, you know, a lot more than they will use the others, but it's about focusing on the challenges that agencies have, because agencies come in all shapes and sizes. They come in all different kind of technology stacks, and it's about really understanding what those challenges are. So that's really great to hear. The topic of the webinar actually is about running your agency like a high-performing sports team. And what's quite interesting for me, one of the roles that I do outside of Fixflo is I do a non-exec role for an organization that represents all of our UK Olympians and Paralympians. And it's amazing to see how the world of sport and everything that goes on in sport is so relatable to business. And I see that and have the ability to see that across the different roles I do. I know it's something that you really believe in as well, Regina, and you wrote about in your book. So could you just unpack that a little bit for me, that the similarities between high-performing sports teams and running your own business?
Well, first of all, our vision, our mission, our values, our brand personality, we put a lot of work into. So that sort of defines who we are, who we hire, and how we behave. For example, one of our brand personalities is that we're energetic. So if someone's not being energetic, we talk about, hey, hang on, we're energetic. What does that mean? It means we're on the ball, we're replying to clients quickly, we're fast-paced because it's a fast-paced industry. And in terms of sport, I think that whole story about Dave Brailsford, how he led the British cycling team to win the Olympics, it was all about marginal gain. And I'll just come back to that in a second. And I think for me, running my company, it's about continuous improvement. It's actually a mindset. I want us to stay in our own lane, but also to focus on continuously improving. I was in the gym this morning, I lifted 40 kg overhead. I was delighted because last week it was 35 kg. That frames my mindset for the day, that because, it can be stressful. So I'm setting myself up for success, and in terms of the business and sports, if we have a continuous improvement mindset, it can really help improve our actual happiness for our staff and our customers. For example, we're in the middle of a housing crisis in Ireland and everyone's looking for rentals. We don't have rentals. We have maybe 2 to 3 a week. You could have 60 to 200 applications. And I said to Mert there a few weeks ago, Mert, what are you doing? What outputs are you getting in the day? He said, the phones are crazy busy with people looking for rentals. But I said, we have a process where people need to upload their application on a QR code before we will actually arrange a viewing. He said, but they're ringing and they want to talk. They don't want to deal on email. And then Dara suggested, why don't we put an answering message on our phones and then direct people to a recording? Very simple thing. It's a very simple thing. So sometimes these changes, innovations, they don't need to be big things, but small things with a continuous improvement mindset and wanting to reduce waste. Like, it's hugely game changing. 2 weeks later, I said to Mark, how are the phones? I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how have things improved? He said 9 out of 10. So it's to encourage that in the team. The more the team understand that if we focus on reducing the waste, eliminating the wasteful activities, that we can actually do work that creates the magic, that's more enjoyable, that adds value for our customers and make more money. So I think it's about sharpening the saw. So the marginal gains are quite powerful in this story, the performance of the British riders back in 2003 was so underwhelming that one of the top bike manufacturers in Europe refused to sell bikes to the team because basically bad PR. Brailsford, anyway, was hard, right, to put to basically to help the British cycling team win the Olympics. What made him different from previous coaches was his relentless commitment to a strategy they referred to as the aggregation of marginal gains, which was a philosophy of searching for tiny margins of improvements. He did crazy stuff that nobody else thought of. And I think that's the thing with business. It's all the small things like the phones and Merchant Dara coming up with that idea. They sound small and basic, but they do make a difference to their team. But Brailsford, basically by improving things by 1%, small adjustments, redesigned bike seats to make them more comfortable, rubbed alcohol on the tires for better grip, asked riders to wear electrically heated overshorts to maintain ideal muscle temperature. It goes on and on. It's really worth Googling. James Clear, continuous improvement. And he also changed the pillows and bought special pillows for the cyclists for when they stayed in hotels to improve their sleeping. So all of these things make a significant difference. And that meant they had a goal to win the Olympics in 5 years, and in fact, they won it in 3 years. So it's extraordinary. And like I've seen things like us using the QR code for tenants applying to actually reduce all the noise that comes into the office.
That's amazing to hear, and I'm sure your employees will be asking for new pillows from you, Regina, to help them sleep better. Yeah, I've heard similar stories. Another great example of that is Toto Wolff, who was the team principal of the Mercedes Formula One team. He talks a lot about when he entered Mercedes, the incremental gains that they made, and the overall changes they had to make were very daunting. But when they broke it down and solved specific challenges and got those 1% gains, before they knew it, they were seeing these wholesale changes to their organization, which, they won 7 world titles in a row, and that's unbelievable. So yeah, I think there's some real synergy between professional sport and running a business. And a really good example of this is I was talking to a client not too long ago about their planned maintenance process. So getting their electrical inspections done or their gas safety certificates done. And their first comment to me was, well, it's really not that bad. Our process works pretty well. So I sat with them and spent some time and asked them to break that process down for me, from getting an instruction, getting that instruction to the contractor, sending over the job instruction, waiting for the contractor to do the work, send the invoice back, send the certificate back. And before we knew it, those kind of 5-minute, 10-minute activities, it was adding up to hours and hours of time in their businesses. So when we broke it down into the individual challenges and said, okay, well, what can we automate through the Fixflo system there? You really reduce the time that people are spending on manual tasks, and those incremental gains all add up to very wholesale changes for your business. So yeah, it's really interesting, that chat that we had prior to this on professional sports and running a business.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, 12 months ago, we outsourced our accounts. So we had 3 people working upstairs in accounts. We outsourced the accounts and we saved 40,000 a year. Now, certain things that I discovered, was that in accounts, there was statements being printed off for all our landlords. You see, you have to interrogate everything, and we don't as business owners interrogate everything, but it's really worth focusing on. But all these statements were being printed off. So there was the cost of printing, there was the cost to the environment, then the time it took to print them, then to take them over to a folder and then file them. By the way, they just humped up loads of space. They didn't do anything. Now all our invoices are sent to accounts at Liberty Blue, and automatically they integrate with Xero, our account system. So there's none of that. That's like all those steps have now been completely chopped out.
Yeah, and it's just really about critically reflecting on where you're spending time and unpacking that, and then looking at the solutions that you can potentially implement to save that time. Regina,
do you mind if I just go back to an important point you asked about people in sports? Training is a huge part, of our business now. We realize that the more we invest in training, the better our people will perform and the happier they will be in their jobs, plus the better result our clients get, and staff retention and everything. But one of my connections in the UK introduced me to a system called Trainual. So we upload all of our modules within the business onto Trainual, and a whole step-by-step for Fixflo as well on how that's used, and Planet Verify and all the pieces within the process for running rentals and sales. And people learn differently. What we're realizing is that you can't give people stuff to just read. People need audio, they need video, and it's a great platform to house everything. And also, you can assess how much training people are doing, and then you can measure that on one-to-ones. The same way, then with Fixflow, you've got dashboards to show tasks outstanding. I love that. I love metrics. So somebody might say, I'm under pressure, I'm really stressed out. Okay, let's have a look at your workload. Let's see how many jobs you have. Let's see what's critical. Let's see what's not critical. How many tasks you're getting through. And the transparency that it offers our clients, because they get blind copied on the communication with the tenants and the contractors. It is genuinely one of the top three best things we've implemented in the last 7 years. By the way, everybody, disclaimer, I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting any referral. I just think the pain that we've gone from and the difference that these pieces of technology make, they're just game changers.
That's great to hear. I think the dashboarding feature in Fixflo is something that we're really proud of and our clients love, because it allows them to know that people will utilize the system in perhaps slightly different ways, and you have to train them to ensure there's consistency within the business. And we can see, this property manager might be really good at progressing all of the planned maintenance side, but actually they're a little slow in their communication with contractors. Well, we can see that within the system. And as we were talking about earlier, you are what you measure, right? And we can then bring that insight to our customers to show them, here's where you're being a little bit inefficient within your business, and, make the changes required. It's really interesting as you talk about technology and as you talk about training, and often the intersection of people and technology isn't as always as smooth as we liked it. You talked about Trainual there as a tool that you've used. How have you dealt with that dynamic of employees have different level of technological capability, or how much they love tech? You mentioned at the start your 5 remote controls at home, so it doesn't sound like it's something that comes entirely naturally to yourself. But how have you taken your people on that journey when you're bringing in new technology solutions to upskill them and get them to kind of believe in what's happening?
Well, look, frankly, actually coming back from London, it was a huge challenge, right? That was when the challenge started, but it became part of the lifeblood. So, like, we have 3 guys now in the business. It was all women for years and years, and that diversity is so important, I realized. But they get it. This is who we are, and this is the journey we're on. It is no longer a challenge, because it's our culture, and everybody sees the benefit. Tony comes in, our mentor. Everybody has KPIs, key performance indicators, dashboards. So, for example, we do 10 inspections of properties we manage in the region of 300. So there's the person who's probably the least good at technology is the person who does the inspections. So it's about having the right people doing the right job. Am I the right person to do maintenance? No, my job is to develop the business, the vision, and all of that, and drive revenue. My job is not to run Fixflo. If I was, we would be in uber big trouble, right? But in terms of having the right people doing the right job, having the right people on the bus, first of all, that goes back to recruitment. That goes back to hiring people on your values and your brand personality. We love to innovate. If someone tells us in an interview, we do behavioral interviewing, we don't always get it right, but they understand, that they have to be part of that. When I interviewed Dara, I said, how do you feel about doing Facebook Lives? He said, no problem. Great. I said, we're going live. We went live there and then, and if he refused to do the live, I knew that he wasn't a right fit for us. And he was brave, and he was the right fit for our company. So it's a mindset. I believe it's a mindset. It's not about technology. One of my favorite books is The 7 Habits, and I love begin with the end in mind. What problem are you trying to solve? We're not buying or investing in technology to be tech experts. We're not. We want to solve a problem and we want to reduce and eliminate waste. And that's really it. But back to the inspections and the person who does the inspections, we use a very good app called Inventory Base, and it integrates actually with Fixflo. And like that's powerful. So that means that whoever's doing the inspections, everybody's doing it via the process. And then you can email this great report to our landlord. And then with the integration with Fixflo, it means it populates the tasks. So we don't have to manually upload the works on the back of the inspection. That has reduced huge amount of wasteful activity.
Yeah, I think that's something that we recognised at Fixflo quite early on. We have to be part of an ecosystem here as it relates to technology. Everybody's going to have their favourite bits of technology, and if we can integrate with them and save some of those manual tasks that you talk about, you know, the inventory base example is a great one whereby, you know, that saves our clients a lot of time. If they were having to take that from an inventory based portal or email it to themselves, download PDFs, whatever, and do that manually, that value proposition is significantly diminished, and ultimately your efficiency as an organization is significantly diminished. And Regina, one of the things
everybody, sorry, it's about standard. I love the word consistent. So it means if you different people doing inspections, they're all completing it in a standard way via the inspection app, integrating with Fixflo, because maybe how everyone sees things is different, but you can't, because it's laid out exactly what photos you take, what lines you have to complete on the inspection room by room. So it's a process, and everything we do in business has to have a process.
Yeah, and I think that being process driven is something that, especially where they are repeatable tasks and you know how to do them, being process driven and not deviating too much from that process. We all know there are there are oddities, there are scenarios where the process can't be followed exactly as we'd expect, because human beings are in the mix, tenants are in the mix, landlords are in the mix, and that can throw things out a little bit. But if 90% of the time you're following that process, you are far more efficient as an organization.
Absolutely. It's the one thing I've learned in 27 years. When you start deviating from the process, you get in trouble.
For sure.
You know?
And then related to the people question, and we talk about the intersection of technology and people, one of the things that clients deal with that we talk to all the time is high staff turnover. So in the industry, it is quite normal for people to leave property management jobs on a fairly regular basis. You've talked a little bit there about the recruitment process and getting the right people in, but that's not a science. You're having to take people from fairly limited interactions. How do you continue to motivate your staff, keep them happy and keep them involved in the business? It sounds like you've been very successful in doing that.
I've actually got this on the wall. We strive to bring happiness to customers, colleagues, and our community, to be helpful experts and champions of Waterford as a great place to live. Look, we are not perfect. Life is not perfect. We do not get it right all the time. But I think if you know what your mission is, and that is our mission, and we want our team to be happy. I think people don't like, in general, doing wasteful activities, stuff that's very clunky. We all need clarity, and I think that's where systems and training, that's where one-to-ones come in. We have bi-weekly meetings, and one of the best things that we brought in, actually, which has had a really positive impact, is we've a team meeting every morning at 9 o'clock. We've been doing that religiously now for 2 years. And the room we're in here, I renovated it for the team meetings. Again, I think it's marginal gains. It's like 1% improvement. The coffee machine, there's no one silver bullet, and you're in a pressurized environment, so it's not always going to be a bed of roses. But I think it's about making people feel appreciated. It's about people having clarity on what their role is. It's about obviously having the right people on the bus, i.e. having the right people working with you, people understanding what your expectations are, having key performance indicators. This is what we expect from you. Train you well, some fun as well. And we don't work with mean clients. So obviously we will have clients who will be unhappy at times, But all in all, we work with clients who appreciate what we do. So our people feel valued and appreciated. That's really, really important.
That's a really important point, and it's actually something that I hear more and more of these days, that organizations will have a no BS policy from some of their clients, whereby they will turn clients away or say, actually, we don't want to work with you any longer if they continually impact staff morale. And I think that's important, right? We're all human beings first and foremost before we're employees, and considering that and bearing that in mind is absolutely vital. One of the things that I love to do when we're having these webinars is we talk quite broadly about themes within businesses to improve things, and then really hone in on the specifics. So I'm going to get into a couple of kind of real specifics here. We talk a lot about automation internally at Fixflo, and I know that it's something that's part of your business and we've talked about as well. I'd love a couple of really specific examples that we could talk about that you've automated either through Fixflo or through another piece of technology, and how that's impacted your business.
Okay, so we sell property and we're in a hot market, and in many cases we have multiple bidders. So we use Offer. Offer is a system whereby people upload their proof of funds and they place a bid. Their identity is confidential, and when they place a bid, our vendor, our seller, gets a notification as well, and people can bid 24/7, and then somebody else bids, their bidder 2, bidder 3. It helps us achieve a fantastic price. It means that we have a system. Our clients love it. They love that they get the notifications. Our buyers really like it in the main because they love the transparency. And it also means that you're not dealing with texts and emails. And I think ultimately what I learned 7 years ago, you have to have self-service platforms where people can upload their problem or their request at a time that suits them. That's really important, not when it suits us. And we know that the way the world is moving, everything is a lot more fast-paced. So I know I was bidding on a property for a family member, and I had to wait all weekend to get a reply. I'd sent in an email and it was a 9 to 5 situation. And I thought, wow, big difference, okay, in terms of service. Then it also reduces the chance of human error, where you forget to get back to someone or let them know about a bid. Because let's face it, agents, we're on the road, we're out and about. There's a lot of moving parts. In terms of Fixflo, it has a facility where you can communicate your issue in 40 different languages. We're in a multicultural world now. Can't assume that everybody speaks the one language or has the same tone or same accent. So none of this phoning or emailing. And you can see the jobs, high and low priority. It integrates with the inspection app. It's transparency for our clients, video tutorials for tenants to reduce some of the tasks that we would ordinarily in the past have sent out contractors for. So there's a whole suite of no-brainers for this system. I think it's how we have to do business. If people don't adapt to that way, I think the cost of doing business manually is too great, but also the expectation from customers. Like when we look at our Google reviews, there are over 930 Google reviews. We don't usually, when you do so many rentals, you have a lot of really angry tenants. Our tenant satisfaction is enormously high. And that's something that I haven't mentioned, but it's enormously high. Our tenants are really happy because there is so much engagement. And, if there's a problem with getting contractors, we can put in automation replies on Fixflo to say that we have a high level of work at the moment. We've reduced, particularly during flooding time. If your maintenance issue is urgent, you will be prioritized if it's not. So, other pieces of technology, signable, it's basic. I think most agents now, contracts are all signed online. Planet Verify I spoke about. I love that because you upload all of your data. If someone wants to have a look at our website, we've only a couple of properties advertised to rent, you've got to go. We put up QR codes because we want everyone to upload their data before we will talk to them, because there's so much noise out there, people just emailing, I want to rent. We can't talk to everybody. Auto replying, even simple things to the inquiries that we do in auto reply. So QR codes, we put them on our for sale signs, we put them on our ads. Xero, brilliant system. I mentioned emailing into accounts, automatically pulls the invoices into Xero, just reducing all that manual input. And before I wrap up this, Warren Buffett said, it's a great quote, I can buy anything, but I can't buy time. One of the richest men in the world, he's in his late 80s. It is probably the most wasted commodity in business, and it is the most valuable commodity. And imagine if we could take time out to go and meet a friend at lunch rather than being stressed. And imagine how much we can improve our business, and imagine how much money we can save, because at the end of the day, turnover is vanity and profit is reality.
Absolutely. And I think it's a really, really profound statement. And, you know, I've spoken before to directors of businesses, and they're looking to grow their business, and they say, you know what, I would love to be growing my business, but I'm spending so long on dealing with maintenance requests, and it becomes a 24/7 job. For many people who are starting out and perhaps don't yet have the resources to build out a fully fledged maintenance team or invest in technology, and they're doing it themselves, you know, they're not able to grow their business, or, as you said, go for lunch with a friend or family member, which is something that we shouldn't take for granted. I think the other thing that sticks out for me there is, I think sometimes people perceive implementation of technology as a loss of control. Oh, well, I did this myself before and I felt, excuse me, like I had a degree of control. One of the things that we try to get across to our clients is, as long as you configure the system in the right way, it gives you more control. It gives you more time, it gives you more control, and that's a message that we try to really get across. Regina, one of the things that's quite interesting to me is, I know you're somebody who's very well connected in the industry, both in Ireland, but also, you know, the example you talked about earlier was with an English letting agent. So what are the key differences that you see between the way that agencies are operating in Ireland and perhaps in comparison to other areas of the UK?
I suppose the first big difference is geographical. Like, there's a whole scale difference. So England, the United Kingdom has scale. Ireland is a small country. We don't have access to the same technology that agents in the UK have, you know, in terms of CRMs for estate agents. That's a big issue. Also, it's a smaller country, it's a smaller environment, networks. Like, we're an independent estate agent. If I wasn't part of two mastermind groups in the UK, and I hadn't gone to the UK searching for ways of improving my business, because, as I said, I didn't know what I was looking for, I didn't know what we didn't have. Our business would not be as enjoyable to work in or as profitable, because we'd be bogged down. And so I think, I suppose, the two things that I love in business, I love marketing and I love coaching and development. So I guess continuous improvement is something I'm obsessed by. So I go and I search. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this was to share some of the things that we've implemented that have actually been game changers for the business. And we're a small business, an independent business in Waterford. And I think we're punching above our weight because of what we're doing behind the scenes. And I think sometimes agents think, well, we've got more listings, we've got more sales. In fact, to me, it's about what you do with your time and planning for the future, planning your exit strategy, planning for your pension, planning your saving, planning your team, and about leveraging resources. So back to the question, I think you've got to go out and look. And as an independent agent, you know, I'm not part of a brand. That information is not there. So you have to go and look. And I'm part of, as I said, mastermind groups. I think mentoring is very, very important. There are a number of mentors in real estate in the UK who are absolutely excellent. if anyone wants to reach out to me. And, you know, they've really helped me. Like Matt Giggs is a great guy, and he really honed in on the whole importance of values and your mission. You know, we had these kind of airy fairy values and airy fairy mission that we didn't live by, but we absolutely, it's here. It's discussed at our meetings. It's how we conduct our one-to-ones. Is that doing the right thing? So I think hopefully maybe as time goes on, we learn more from the UK. And I think in terms of marketing, I think estate agents in Ireland have really upped the game in terms of using videos and marketing homes. Really, really upped the game, really. And that's really, I suppose, all I can say on that.
Great. So guys, just to remind everybody on the webinar, we'll be coming to the Q&A in a couple of minutes. I've seen a couple have come in, but please do get your questions ready. I was going to say for Regina and myself, probably for Regina, but please do get those questions ready. And I'd just like to finish on this, Regina, if you don't mind, one final question from me, which is, if you were talking to somebody who was nervous about investing in technology and overwhelmed by the amount of technology out there, what would you say to that person who's looking to grow their business?
Well, I suppose there's so many variables and there is a huge amount of technology out there. I think it's like anything. Go and find someone that you like and admire and someone that you want to talk to a few people and learn from them. Find out what's working well. Like there's a big agent in Dublin who does a lot of rentals, and during COVID, I rang this person for some advice, and then I believe in the law of reciprocation, and I said, "What are you using for your maintenance?" "Oh, we use whatever system." Basically, it was a manual system, and I said, "Have you heard of Fixflo?" Anyway, 2 conversations later, I said, "Listen, you have to look at it." And now they told me a couple of years on, game changer. So you learn from talking to people. The WhatsApp groups that I'm part of, people say, "What do you think of this system? What do you think of that system?" You know, so you're getting recommendations. And I guess it's asking people that you trust for recommendations, and then getting demos, figuring out what problem you want solved. Rome was built in a day. And it's how do you eat an elephant bite by bite, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing that's really stuck out to me. The two things you mentioned there are the power of network, and I think that's super important. And secondly, focusing on the challenge and not the solution. So, you know, don't go out for a piece of technology looking, oh, they do all of these really cool things. Well, that's great, but actually, does it solve a problem that I have as an organization right now? Is it going to move me along to be more efficient organization, or are these things that don't really matter to me and to my business? So I think they're two really great pieces of advice there, Regina. So what we will do now, right on time, I think, is move to the Q&A. I can see them. So I'm going to read these out, Regina. So the first one is, "Hi, Regina, what is the name of the system for references? Planet what? Thanks."
Called Planet Verify. So just to be clear, Planet Verify is a system that stores data and reminds people to send more in if there's a list of things that they've sent in. So for example, it'll give you maybe 7 things with Liberty Blue that you have to send us, and until you send them all, you get reminders to finish sending the information. Beautiful thing about it is, let's say we had 100 applications for a property. People have to upload their information, their pay slips, their references. And if for some reason it's incomplete, or they're not the right candidate, or the landlord has picked somebody else, we just purge that data. So you've told everyone their application was unsuccessful, the data is purged, and you're GDPR compliant, which is really, really important. But it saves loads of time, and it's a good way, efficient way of saving data. We also use it for sales as well to get vendor information. But if you can imagine, pre-Planet Verify, people are emailing in their reference. There might be 3 people renting, 3 different emails. They maybe have another reference. There's like a message here, a message here, a message here, a message here. Just no cohesiveness. and then the person who's dealing with it is out sick or they're out of the office. It's where do you find that information? So it's definitely up there in the top pieces of tech we've invested in.
Amazing. So the next one I think is for me, actually. We started using Fixflo a number of years ago, and the onboarding was limited, and it seems there is more to Fixflo that we are not aware of and not using. Can someone from Fixflo support us by spending time with us to see how we are using and if we can do better, and even give us ideas? We struggle getting to speak to anyone. Do we have an assigned account manager? So we have we're very fortunate at Fixflo to have a very high number of clients. We have over 2,000 clients, so not all of our clients have a directly assigned account manager. However, a couple of resources that I can point you to. The Fixflo Academy is amazing. It's one of the best learning environments that I've seen. It's really broken down into very specific modules of the platform and what it can do. So the first port of call is, if you haven't already done so, I would advise people to look at the Academy. As Regina mentioned earlier, people learn in different ways, and there's a mixture of text and video and those kind of things. So it is really, really accessible. We have also now launched a professional services arm to our business as well. So if you are looking to get some really kind of hands-on training from our team, they are paid for solutions, but we now do offer professional training because, you know, there was client demand for it and clients were asking us about it. So that is something that we do use. But you can also contact customer support, and our support team will endeavour to get back to you as soon as possible. It may be that they point you in the direction of a specific module on Fixflo, or they may point you in the direction of our professional services team.
Can I also jump
Sure.
in and add to that, if that's okay? A lady I met in London, a prop tech, I call her prop tech Debbie, 7 years ago. I stayed in touch with her because I do think, as we mentioned, networks are really important. Debbie is a superwoman at Fixflo and various pieces of tech. So we embraced Debbie. We hired Debbie to look at our Fixflo, and she did a massive cleanup. We actually had a wild number of duplications, addresses. She came up with ways of doing things better. So if anyone's looking for Debbie's details, you can email me, regina@libertyblue.ie, after maybe checking out what Fixflo can provide. But we do find the tutorials very good because we get, I don't know, is it weekly or bi-weekly links to webinars?
Yeah.
And you have to commit to that continuous improvement and learning. And a lot of it's down to fiddling around and looking. I think the dashboard's really good because you can see how many jobs you have and what's going on. I hope that helps as well.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that as Fixflo, we work on 2-week release cycles. So we gather feedback from all of our clients and we release technology every 2 weeks. So you do have to keep up to date with, we're continuously improving the platform, which is amazing for our clients. But please do keep up to date with those email correspondence that do come out around the improvements that we've made, so you know exactly what's going on with the system. Another one for you, Regina, here. What central CRM system do you use which is compatible with Fixflo and Xero?
We use Acquaint, and as John Kennedy produced him, sorted that out with Fixflo that they're compatible. It took years of begging, but it finally got done. So that does integrate, and does, what was the other Xero integrates. Xero is a brilliant system, like absolutely brilliant. What I love about it as a business owner is you can click into expenses as well and drill into everything. The reporting is amazing. You can just click a button, look at your year to date, compare it to the last 3 years. It's very, very good. And obviously it's cloud-based. The more systems that are cloud-based, the better.
Absolutely. And related to that, we have another question here. Hi there, thank you for this. We are testing out Acquaint CRM for our property management, but I would like to know if there are any better CRM system recommendations for us to look into. Given that we as Fixflo integrate with the vast majority of them, I'm not going to come out and say one is better than the other, or recommend a specific one myself. But Regina, perhaps you're using Acquaint. Are there others out there that you've looked at and considered?
I'm going to give a kind of a politician answer here and say, look, there's no one system that does everything. That's the problem with technology. And when you buy a system, the more platforms it integrates with, the better, right? So that they can plug in and talk to each other. As I mentioned, we're in Ireland. We do not have the same choice of systems that you have in the UK. The hot system that everyone is talking about in the UK is Street. Okay, so they are not set up. Then the problem, it's not just integrating with Fixflo, it's the system, will it integrate with Daft? Okay, because Daft is the number one property portal, whether we like it or not, it is the number one. And really, it's about that integrating with your CRM system. So we are limited in choice for operational CRM systems.
A very political answer, Regina. Well done. So there's a question here which I'm going to take. I run an AI agency that is able to answer calls and answer with sorry, so many questions coming in, and answer with precision all the inquiries clients could have. I'm having a tough time getting it across to real estate agents that this is a game changer. How can I get across to old school agents that this is indeed a game changer? So yeah, it's a really interesting question. I think when you're a technology company selling into the property industry, you will see a whole array, and we've talked about it a little bit here, kind of levels of technological adoption and comfort around new technology. Again, I'm going to really bring it back to, as a technology supplier, really focus on the challenge that the customers have. Ask them what their challenges are, and then work out how your technology meets their challenges. The other thing I would say is it's really important to get a 360 view from an organization. So talk to the people on the ground who are doing the processes, but also talk to the business owner or the decision maker who's responsible for the profitability of that business, and understand how you convey the message to both of those stakeholders. So somebody on the ground using the system, you're going to be talking about how this makes their life easier. You're going to be talking about those very specific tasks that they do day to day and how they can be eliminated. To the decision maker or the person who's in control of the budget, let's get down to it. You're talking about the cold hard numbers. How much time am I going to save you, and how much cost is that going to take out of your business? And really pitching to those is quite important. I don't know if you've got anything to add there, Regina.
I probably would disagree with you, right? And the reason being is, Milan, I'm bombarded on LinkedIn. So the first piece of advice is stop bombarding people with like, I don't really want to connect with new people anymore because I know they're going to bombard me. Some of them are like sending me 4 or 5 messages. What you need to be is a helpful expert. You need to provide value. You're trying to sell. We're all busy, and where is the value? Imagine if you put on an event for agents to show how AI can revolutionize your business, give information for free, support and help. You have to invest in that. And then I think you will see maybe people seeing how implementing what you've shown them, how that can help their business. And then it's one at a time, and then it's references. But too many people now expect to go from 0 to 100 in 5 minutes, bombard you with what they're selling, and that is just not the right approach.
Great advice. Next question here again for yourself, Regina. Can you describe in a stepwise process how you advertise and select tenants for rentals? From a systems point of view, how have you systematized it to reduce calls and emails, etc.?
So it's work in progress. We haven't got it 100% right. We're better than we were 3 weeks ago. But I suppose the first thing is we don't use a photo of the property on the portal. We use our QR code. Like, massive fan of QR code. Look, in an ideal world, you wouldn't have a QR code, you'd have a picture of the property. But by using the QR code, they have to then upload their application onto Planet Verify. It's a process. And so it's exactly as I spoke about earlier. And then you have a way of purging it. How do we pick the tenants? Look, I can't really get into that right now. You've got to pick the right tenant for the property, and often the landlord will give you a brief that you have to comply. But we don't always have the right wait list for the right property, and we have to advertise, and we try and whip that ad down as quickly as possible. build up as many leads, try and do back-to-back viewings to improve efficiencies. And really, it's now the answering phone is a big thing, where we have a pre-recorded message if you're looking for sales, if you're looking for such as extension, and if you're looking to rent, press whatever button and they go to an automated reply. People don't like that, but we can't do anything about it. I can't afford to run a business and pay people to answer the phone all day to reject applicants. It's just not viable.
Yeah, and I think that's
I,
really important. It's an
I
emotive.
hope that answers that. I really do. But the answer machine has really, really helped.
It's
And the funny
interesting.
thing is, most people, the quality tenants, don't tend to walk into the office. So we've assigned to say that we don't take applications in the office, but you have to obviously be courteous and kind as well. But the more footfall we can reduce, the better.
Absolutely. I think it's a highly emotive topic when you're looking for somewhere to live, obviously. So dealing with it sensitively is obviously really important. And it's interesting you talk about the use of the answer phone. It's not always the shiniest, most innovative piece of technology that's the most impactful, right? The answer phone has been around for years and years, and automated response have been around for years and years, but actually just implementing them at the right time is where you see value. Gillian, a really nice comment, actually, as opposed to a question. It's not so much as a question, but rather a huge thank you to Regina for the wonderful advice. Always a grounding and extremely helpful communication. Fixflo has made such a difference to our business. Very best wishes, Gillian. And I think that's probably the best place for us to end, because that's a lovely thanks to you, Regina, for giving up your time. And thank you so much for, I think there's some nervousness sometimes within the industry of, sharing your secrets, but actually everybody's trying to run their own business, and everybody's trying to improve the situation and live in standards for people and help their landlords. So thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Any final remarks from yourself?
But I appreciate Gillian's comment. Thank you sincerely, Gillian. That's Gillian in Wexford. And yeah, look, I do believe in giving we receive. I have nothing to sell here. I'm very happy to share, and I hope it will help some people here. Because at the end of the day, we've only got one life, and we want to live the best life we have and not get stuck in the weeds. And I want to reference my wonderful mentor, Sanjay Gandhi, who had a brain tumor removed, who has helped me so, so much. And from the help he's given me, I want to help other people as well. I can't spend my time helping people. I've got work to do as well. But he does have three things that I didn't mention very briefly. One, the pilot doesn't serve the drinks, right? So if we as business owners are fixing the tires on the plane or the bus, and we're stuck in the weeds of doing all that, we're not leveraging resources, then we can't be as effective or as profitable as we could be. And when you ask me about the people on the bus, there are two types of people, and we see this in the office. Is that better or? Bed is blame, excuse, deny. So are you in the bed camp? Are you in the or? Do you own it? Are you accountable? Do you take responsibility? So it's very good when you communicate with the people, because we're all operating off the same compass. This is how we must be. We get a bit of a laugh out of it. I'd say that was a bit of bed there now, would you? Yeah, yeah. So, or come on now, well done. That's and we're all guilty of the bed. Yeah, no, I realize now I'm saying it, and I even say it at home to my son. So I'm glad. I think it worked out well. We got lots of questions. If anybody's interested in my book, I've never said we're smarter, faster, better. It's how to run a smarter, faster, better business. For me, it's about being smarter than we were last week, not doing wasteful activities. Faster is about innovation, adopting technology, and better is being better than we were previously. You can buy it online or on Kindle through our website, libertyblue.ie. I do love Fixflo. I think it's a game changer for anyone doing property management. And if you've a small portfolio, I think it's the charge, I'm not sure what it is, it's per unit that you have. Start with the systems, and as you grow, you'll then have the systems in place. It's actually much easier. I don't think people should wait until they have a big portfolio. It's the same with everything. You start out with your processes and systems, and that actually is the vehicle to help you grow.
Amazing. Thank you. And just before we wrap up, I really appreciate everybody joining the webinar today. We really hope you've got something out of it and you've got something to take away. If you would like to learn more about Fixflo, you can scan the QR code that's on the screen now. Or if you fill out the survey that will pop up when we leave the webinar, you can get more information as well. We'd also really love to hear what you would like us to talk about in our next webinar. So please let us know in the feedback box on the survey. Thanks again, everybody, for coming, and we'll hope to see you in the next one. Oh, Regina, one final thing.
You're coming to Ireland to an event and you'll share more. So for any Irish agents, they'll have the opportunity to meet you in person, correct?
Thank you for doing my job for me. We are coming to Ireland. More information to follow. That will be communicated out through us and Regina.
Thanks a million.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.